Topic here is covering and the military. So we're watching the Don't Ask, Don't Tell documentary, and you want to complete this grid. How does the documentary, give you information about the life of the homosexual? What laws were designed to restrict the homosexual, and what links can you find to present day? Gay men in the military. So if we go back to World War One seemed to be an area where homosexual gay men could find each other. Uh, the understanding of finding each other using coded language like one, where you might just simply ask, "Are you one?" And if you knew what I meant, then that meant you are understanding of the question I was asking, which may be a way to identify you as a homosexual. Keep in mind that this is the reason why Mattachine Society uses the name one. It's that understanding of "Are you one?" being coded language. Anyway, at the end of World War II, we know that the homosexuals are kicked out of the military. Gay men are giving the blue discharge, and that is going to be problematic, a stain on their record. Anyway, let's move on here and see the reading that you were asked to complete, which looked at Atlantic City from the book Boardwalk of Dreams. So we know in World War II that the United States has to embark on the Normandy invasion. So this is a photograph of the Normandy invasion where you have to complete a water landing onto land using U.S. troops. What better place to prepare for this invasion than Atlantic City? And Atlantic City becomes the preparation place for the Normandy invasion. So you see the military presence in Atlantic City, and they are practicing for their upcoming invasion of Germany and the occupied German territories. So apparently, according to the reading, the Claridge Hotel, which was built modeling the Empire State Building, built in the 1920s, going into the 1930s. This becomes a place where the gay community finds itself in Atlantic City, and the argument, according to the author, is identifying with this particular symbol. So this becomes a de facto segregated area of Atlantic City. Keep in mind, we also have Chicken Bone Beach, which was a place that was designated for the African American population. So we see de facto segregation playing out in Atlantic City. We also see that playing out in places like Asbury Park, where the Black community was annoyed by guests, and they simply wanted to make sure that they have a cheap labor force in the African American population. However, they wanted to make sure that on vacationing days that African Americans did not enter those places where they actually worked. So that seems to be an issue. So anyway, as we move on to the covering reading, you want to think about these questions here, which are going to be the topic of discussion for the covering reading. So this is your responsibility to figure out. And then the rest of the slideshow here will just kind of look at, answering some of those particular questions. And I'm giving you some scenarios here that we will possibly talk about in class. I am not going to go over the specifics here because you have to figure this out on your own, but you do have the PowerPoint here, and you need to focus on how you're going to prepare for that discussion. And I keep bringing up the question, what is a homosexual professional versus a professional homosexual, which was addressed in the reading. And I just give you scenarios to racial issues and gender issues and other issues just to get you to think about some of the specifics and the common issues that people experience. So anyway, why does society have an issue with otherness? Here we see in the reading, which talked about a woman, actually a woman and a man being let go and targeted through their employer simply because they were wearing something that identified them with a racial or religious group. So that seems to be the issue that the reading addresses, this concept of otherness up here. And you want to think about where that fits within the pyramid of hate, as well as the vicious cycle, and how forcing people indirectly to mute aspects of their religion or race, where does it fit on the vicious cycle as well as the pyramid of hate? And that's kind of where we're at with this. So the remaining part of the PowerPoint just simply gives you some scenarios. You could look at the circled areas to prepare for the upcoming discussion that we will have, which will pretty much be along the same theme. In this case, we have a Sikh Air Force, officer, and the turban being something that identifies with his religion. However, he is in the military, so Does he have to remove it or keep this article of religious identification? Does he have to hide it or is he allowed to keep it? So those are pretty much the questions. Like I said, we'll have to focus in class for the discussion. I'm not going to go over all of these items because some of these items you just need to kind of figure out.